Hi, I'm Sherry Trentini, and thanks for being here and for reading my Substack, The Life Reclamation Project. Today, I thought I'd do something different by throwing a video together and including and inviting my friend Jenn of Intrepid Body Mind. Her and I have been having a conversation about the connection between chronic pain and grief. So, as you know, I work with grief, and Jenn here does a fantastic modality called Body Talk. And we're going to get some information about how grief shows up in the body in her work. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. Okay, lots to unpack.
Yes, I know that was a pretty full introduction, but
Uh,
if you would be so kind just to let people know how chronic pain, what your experience with that is,
okay.
and what you do and why you do it.
Okay. Well, chronic pain and grief, in my opinion, go hand in hand. And that's something that I think you and I would love to dive into a little bit further along
Mm,
the line,
yes,
because you cannot have one without the other, in my opinion.
agreed.
So, just an introduction, how I came to the work that I do was actually through my own healing journey
Mhm.
with chronic pain. I was 21 years old when my discs became herniated and my nerves were pinched. And the doctors had no idea why it happened or how, and they didn't have a great prognosis on whether or not I could get back to normal. So you guys don't know me very well. Sherry does. No is not a word that I love to hear. So I started to explore alternative therapies and started to get into the world of energy work and how our mental state really shows up in our physical body
Okay.
and the connection that actually has, and really big on how emotions show up for us, and knowing, did you know emotions can live in your body, in your very tissues?
Absolutely, I did.
Oh, good. Do you feel that every day?
When you're swimming in this pool of grief, all of the fantastic books out there, which there's a lot of well-written and knowledgeable and credible work out there when it comes to how our emotions are stored in our body.
Mm.
So, did you make a connection between the emotions that were needing attention when you were experiencing chronic pain?
I was, and I found, as someone, I didn't grow up knowing how to actually process and do anything with
Yeah,
my emotions. Grief showed up as one of the big main ones, which is, I think, why you and I have a soft place in our heart for that emotion.
of course, yeah.
But there's anger, there's worry, there's joy, there's sadness. A lot of that can also become stuck in the body. And through my work and through my own investigation, I found that it can show up in your tissues as inflammation,
Mhm.
as actual pain,
Yeah.
as more illness and disease and these injuries. So it can have a really, really real impact physically when we're not actually dealing with our emotions.
Now, I just want to double back to what you said, that to hear that joy and happiness can get stuck in our body. Isn't that something that we would want to have stuck in our body?
I love this question. And the answer is no.
Well,
So,
right?
uh, so emotions are energy in motion.
Yes.
So that's the whole concept here, is that it is movement. And it's actually in that expression of an emotion that it becomes the fuel for some of our energetic body, which some of my work does encompass. The actual meridians and the chakras actually need that fuel or that chi from processing these emotions. So,
So there's a lot of different, when we talk about energy work, we're talking about a lot of different modalities in the sea. When it comes to the work that I do, one of the things that I ask the people that I work with, like, what is this feeling when you're thinking about a particular event or a relationship in your life? And then once we do the work together, my question is always, how does that feel differently?
mm,
So I think, to clarify, sometimes when we hear the term energy work, that might feel very woo woo, I
out there.
guess, for lack of a better. But when the work is also based on traditional Chinese medicine with the meridians, which has been around for
Thousands.
thousands and thousands of years.
Yeah.
There's, we evolve how we work with the body and the energetic body based on old information coupled with the needs of the people of this time. Would that be
Yeah,
okay?
amazingly put. And to add to that, there is an element of more current psychology, I would say, based on the subconscious programming
Mm,
that is the actual root and what dictates
yeah.
where and how we store these stories and these emotions, because there usually is a story attached to an emotion.
Yes.
And we hold on to that, and we have a lot of difficulties processing that, and they can become so rigid and constrained that that's actually what is being held within our body, that constraint and that rigidity. So there are elements of traditional Chinese medicine
Yeah.
and kind of psychology that really tie everything together in this work.
So interesting. Another term that people might hear that are experiencing chronic pain is to do somatic work, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so that is a blend of movement, breath, also, and so we were essentially moving energy as we process thoughts and feelings and regulating our nervous system. So just as Jen is doing as you're on the table, helping to assess and encourage and invite you to do some particular things and working together with her to help to move some of this stuff. I, depending on the client, are also doing the same. It's not just, it's not a linear process to deal
Right.
with either grief,
Mm-hmm.
chronic pain plus grief plus chronic pain and trauma.
Mm-hmm.
But there's,
Right. It's a chicken egg situation. What came first?
yeah,
Probably both came first.
yeah.
And yeah.
And, the people that see me are to a point where they're ready to have a conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
To start to express and use their authentic voice with emotional honesty to get out what they've been holding on to grief wise. People who come to you, are they are they coming because of physical pain or emotional pain first, or does that matter?
Mm. Well, I would say that it doesn't matter. It is all relative,
Yeah.
but most of the people that I see are feeling it physically first.
Mm.
And typically, they're unable to make the connection between the emotions and the things that they're not processing and the physical issues. So there's a separation there, which is why the somatics and the looking at grief and our emotions differently can actually help move things naturally through the body. So that's probably why when people are tackling their grief, they'll find that they actually feel better physically,
Right.
just as sort of a byproduct, because it is all
Yeah.
connected.
Yes. And any and all modalities can work in concert with each other,
Yeah.
right? It would be great if there was one magical modality to, tend to everybody's needs, but it depends because everybody's grief is unique to them and everybody's chronic pain. There might be a lot of similarities
Yeah.
to other people with pain, and there might be a lot of similarities with people who are experiencing grief or have experienced loss.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
it is a unique situation and it's not a one size fits all.
100% agree. I have clients that we work in the same realm. We're in shoulder pain, for example, but their experiences are different, their memories are different, their emotions are different. It just so happens that they're actually like experiencing the same physical aspects. So you're right. There is no one size fits all because we are so delightfully different.
Yes.
And that's part of the work that you and I do, is that we are working with an individual to what their needs are. And do we tackle things physically first, or do we assess the actual emotional response first? Or
Right.
do we go right to the root, which is the subconscious programming? It depends on the person.
It absolutely does. The great thing is that there are resources available to you. And when you're seeking out alternative ways to deal with chronic pain,
Mhm.
alternative ways or a more well-rounded, I don't want to say alternative because we're no longer, you know,
Two
back,
out there.
yeah, it's no longer too out there.
Yeah.
There's people out there who are like Jen and myself, we're meeting you where you are,
Mhm.
and we do the work specific to whatever it is your need is.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Yeah.
the fun part and something I think we're both really passionate
Yeah.
about. And yeah, it's really enjoy it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having
I've
me.
always
Yeah,
enjoyed spending time with
me
you,
too.
and I'm so grateful for you taking the time to watch this. Would love to hear your experience with chronic pain. Was there grief associated? Were you holding on to grief and then that created a chronic pain? Was there a connection that you found? I would love to hear more about your experience. Reach out to me personally, leave a comment under the video. I'll also share Jen's contact information. She not only works in person, but also virtually as well. So just to check things out and see
Yeah.
what some of your options are.
Bring all your aches and pains. There is typically a root, and there is always the clues that the body is telling us based on where the
Yes.
pain is and the emotion that comes up. There's
Gosh,
always a clue.
we could talk for another hour
Yes, we could.
about
Yes, we
that,
could.
but we won't.
We
Not
won't.
today.
Next time.
Again, thank you. I'm Sherry Trentini, and this is Jen
Okay.
Barrett of Intrepid Body Mind.
Thank you so much.